In preparations of our lab, after you log in with the login details that has been provided, we are going to start the Cloud Shell. Now, all this menu will have something called tooltips. When you hover your mouse over, okay, for only for this one and the bar in the menu bar. Now we are going to create the Cloud Shell. So in this case, we can easily switch between bar CLI command and PowerShell CLI once it is created. So we can choose any of them. Now we might need storage account in the upcoming labs. So usually we choose mount storage account because we might need upload, for example, a JSON ARM template, a bicep file, okay, so any or some XML file, any kind of file that you might want to include when you run your PowerShell or bar CLI. So it's highly recommended we create a storage account for those files so you can upload the file. If you choose no storage account, you cannot upload any file temporarily into the Cloud Shell. So you cannot run the command that run the script from the file. So we are going to choose mount storage account, choose the existing subscriptions. Now, since we don't have existing storage account, we are going to create our own. Next, for resource group, choose the existing resource group that has been created and give the meaningful storage account name. Remember, the Cloud Shell, the storage account name have to be unique the whole Azure. That's why sometimes it's a good idea to put some random number, so it will be unique the whole Azure environment. Now for the region, you can select any region nearest to you. For now, I'm going to choose East US and create. Now we are ready to start our first exercise. So we are going to design and implement virtual network in Azure. So consider this scenario. So you're working in the fictional organizations called Contoso, which is the process of in the process of migrating the infrastructure to Azure. So your role in this example is as network engineer. So we have to plan and implement 3 virtual network and subnets to support the resources in this virtual network. Now, let's start this. Let's take a look on the plan itself. So we are going to set up this, okay? So in Southeast Asia, you're going to create the virtual network, let's say called Research VNet, location Southeast Asia. And another is called, let's say, Core Services VNet, locations is East US. And another VNet locations is West Europe. And you want this virtual network to be able to communicate with each other. And for the on-premise, you want it to be connected to East US virtual network via the VPN tunneling with IPsec with the Internet Key Exchange site-to-site VPN tunnel. Now let's start creating those virtual network. And as additional here, okay, so you will have the VNet number with the subnet. In the East US, you have a couple of subnetting. So from this design, okay, so it's because for the Southeast Asia, the research VNet is not expected to grow too large, and it's not actually expected to grow. The team is small, and the locations is near the organization's research and development team. And for the West Europe, manufacturing system subnet is near the locations in the organization manufacturing facilities. This network contains system for operations of the manufacturing facilities. And the organization is anticipating a large number of internal connected devices for the system to retrieve data from temperature. So you will need IP address space that you can expand into. In this example, notice that you split it into 4 subnet. This one as well. So you have one special subnet, which is the gateway subnet, that can help connect West Europe, Southeast Asia, and East US. And the rest, such as in East US, they have the subnet database, shared service subnet, and public web service subnet. So we are going to create all this. First, we are going to create the resource group first to contain our resources. Okay, so for now we don't need the PowerShell Cloud Shell command. So first task, we are going to create the empty resource group first. We just type resource group. Now since the resource group already created for us, we don't need to do that anymore. The next task, we are going to create the core service for VNet virtual network subnet and the subnet. Okay, so if you take a look on the design again, first we are going to create the core services VNet and then all the subnet inside it. Let's do that. Create and type virtual network. Now we are going to give the name for the virtual network and make sure it's East US. Next, we are not creating the bastion for now, but for the IP addresses, we are going to use the IP addresses that we have designed before. This is not the address space that we want, so you can add the address space itself, which is 10.20.0.0.16 and 16 subnet. We are going to, this is the address space, we are going to create a subnet. Give some meaningful name for the subnet. Now we are going to change this into the virtual network gateway and make sure the subnet address is 10.20.0.0.27. So I put in the wrong one. This is the address range. You need to put in the starting address and the size would be 27 in this case, and then add. Now we are going to add another subnet is called shared service subnet. And the size is starting from the 10.0.10.20.10.0.24, and then add another subnet, call it database subnet, and the starting number is 10.20.20.0.24. Add another subnet. We are going to call it public web services subnet. The starting address is 10.20.30.0.24, and add. So now we have added those four. So it's as per plan. Okay, so this one's completed, almost. Now you can continue with the review and create. And that's it, click create. Now we are ready to create the second virtual network and its subnets. Wait for a while until it's completed. Notice the deployment notifications is also in the notifications menu. And once ready, if you want to check, you can go to the resources. If you expand the setting and subnets, you can see all the subnet that you have created just now and how many available IP address. Now we are going to create another virtual network inside the same resource group. Give some meaningful name for the virtual network, which is manufacturing. And the region is Europe, West Europe. And specify the subnet. And you can create the subnet inside. Just add. We might need to edit this one first. Now, the first subnet is called manufacturing system, and the IP address starts from 10.30.10.0.24, and you're going to create the second subnet, which will be called sensor subnet, and with this IP address range, add, and we are going to create the next one, which is sensor 2. sensor subnet 2, and the starting address would be 10.30.21.0 with the subnet mask 24. Now we are going to create the sensor subnet 3, with the IP address 10.30.22.0.24 at, and that's it. Okay, so now we already have 4 subnet. Review and create and then create. You can check the resources again. Okay, when you go subnet, you will see all the subnet that you have created before. You can also compare it with your previous design. Okay. Make sure it's matching. And the last task would be for Southeast Asia. Now we are going to create another one. Okay, so we have 2 subnet, 2 virtual network, and 4 subnet inside each. And then we are going to create another virtual network. Give some meaningful name for it, which is Research VNet, and the locations is Southeast Asia. The IP address is 10.40.0.16. Add subnet, and we only have 1 subnet, but we cancel it. So we are going to update this default subnet to our research system subnet, and the IP address will start on 10.40.0.0.24. Save. Okay, so we have created VNets and the subnets. So that's it. Congratulations, you have completed your lab exercise 1. Okay, so before I end this recording, we are going to take a look on our last VNet and the subnet. So once it's deployed, you can go to resources, go to subnet, and see you only have 1 subnet there called research subsystem. Again, if you want, you can compare it as well with the diagram design that we have before. Okay, so the research VNet is the VNet name. Inside it has only 1 subnet called research system subnet. So we have created 3 virtual network with 1 subnet in one of them. There are 4 subnet in East US and 4 subnet in West Europe.